Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the tips and the tricks to improve your score on speaking section of IELTS. So if you are interested, stay tuned. Hi viewers, I'm Shailly from Dream Abroad and I'm going to help you in this video to improve your score on the speaking section of IELTS. Just in case you want to know about the pattern of entire IELTS, you can view the link given up where we have already discussed about the pattern of the entire IELTS. Now let's get started with the first thing, that is the introduction part on speaking section of IELTS. So the first part of IELTS introduction starts on generally with asking you about your full name. For example, what is your full name? So here you should talk about the name that's written on your passport, the full name that's written. Alright, for example, my name is Ramanpreet Kaur. I won't say Raman Kaur, I would say Ramanpreet Kaur. The next question, they may ask you, what can I call you? Say whatever you are comfortable with. Of course, they are not going to remember that name and call you by that name. It's just to make you comfortable with the entire pattern of the test. Okay. Now to start with, the next question usually again is, are you working or you are a student? Or they may straight away start with asking you questions like, tell me something about yourself. Now comes the most important point. Usually we prepare about what are we going to say in the introduction part. Remember, this part is actually like our job interviews. Not really so, yet something very close to it. Because here you will talk about the most important things first, right? That means what you're doing, about your education. Please do not talk about your family in this part. For example, you should not say, I'm married and I have 2 daughters or blah blah. Just stick to yourself. They want to know about who you are as a person. So do not talk anything about your family. Do talk about your profession, about the work experience that you have. Do not go details, do not cover the details of your profile. Just tell them what you are currently working as, how many years of work experience you have, what is your education. And of course, go in the reverse chronological order. That means start from what you are doing right now and also what you have studied right now. In case, and there's no need to go up to the school, because I have seen students going for their school education also. So do not really talk about that. And yes, do not end up only with your professional side. Please remember, this is not a resume section. This is actually your introduction. You certainly are going for as a person too. So you should talk about what are your likes and dislikes. For example, if you have something as a hobby, do mention that. If you are interested in something else, do mention that. Also, it's possible that you are actually not having a real hobby, but you just say something for the sake of saying it. Do remember that IELTS is a speaking test. This is not your personality test. Yes, it may happen that you tend to contradict yourself from one point to the other. For example, in this part, you say that I have a hobby of participating in various sports, outdoor games, such as cricket, hockey, so on and so forth. But later on, if there is a question relating to that, if they ask you a question like, what's the most famous or popular sport in your country, you may end up saying football, soccer, you know. So it's not going in what you have already said. Or let's discuss something about the favorite sports in your country, and you do not mention either of the sports that you have chosen as your hobby. So how's that possible that something is favorite and it's still not your favorite, you know? So that goes as the first thing. Secondly, do not fake your accent, and it's extremely important. There are a lot of you people who are working at call centers or any such organization which trains you into accents. You want to use it, but just in case you are not a specialist at using an accent, you can certainly talk in neutral accent, and this is what the trainers are trained at. They are trained at listening to what you are speaking. Your pronunciation does not really matter until and unless it means a different word altogether, right? For example, to the word such as were, W-E-R-E, if you have the habit of saying where, then it means a different word, W-H-E-R-E, so that's not going to help. So do stick to the general pronunciation that you have and try to be correct as long as possible, not really the accented, heavily accented speaking. Also, please remember that anything that you are going to say here will set your tone for what you are going to speak in the next part. So about the introduction, the thing is that stay as much as possible, stay truthful. Number two, make sure that you are talking in the tone and in the language that is comfortable to you. In the language means English language, the level of English language that's comfortable to you. Number three, do not experiment. Do not try to use a word that you heard somewhere, you're not very sure of using it and you just want to use it here. Do not experiment. Number four, remember that this is the introduction part. After this, there is a cue card, and after that, there's a discussion. So do not exhaust yourself answering too long. Otherwise also, they are not expecting long answers. Try to be short so that you make less mistakes in comparison to otherwise when you would have spoken very long answers. So after asking about after asking two, three things about yourself, they may just move on to an unrelated question totally. For example, the first question is about you, your introduction. Second may be about what you like about your work or what you dislike about your work, or is there anything that you would like to change about your work, or if you are taking academic IELTS, they may ask you about your favorite subject or something about your schooling, what kind of school you were in, and then they may move on to something totally unrelated. For example, my own experience when I took it last time was, okay, do you like robots? And I was like, no, not really. And then it was like, okay, but then remember, they cannot really, even if you say no, they will not change the question, the topic, understanding that you are not comfortable. It is just a speaking test. This is not your GK test. So they would not change the topic. They would still ask the same line of questions that are written to them. So the next question to you can be, for example, in my case, it was, okay, have you watched a robotic movie? And I was like, robotic movie? No, not really. I have not seen any movie on robots as per se. So they were like, okay, then how do you like if a robot is driving your car? And I was like, I have never been in that situation. Yet I think that if a robot drives my car, I would be intrigued. I would really like to, because I'm an adventurous person, which I am actually. So I would like to see how does it feel, you know, giving my car's control to someone who's not a human being and who really doesn't understand what I am programming it as, because it's programmed by someone else. And you know, so there are no right answers, there are no wrong answers. I could have very well said, oh, I would be extremely scared. I don't like giving the control of my car or my life to someone else. They just are checking your grammar, your content, your confidence, your usage of the vocab that you are using. Also, for introduction, it's extremely important that you remain crisp. Do not give long answers. So that's about introduction. Now the next part will be cue card. So the next part and the most important part is cue card. Now many of you all would be thinking, what is that? Is it a card? No, it's not a card. It's a paper on which there is a topic written and there are 3 to 4 subtopics on which you have to speak. For example, though I have not really seen them asking much about this, it used to be around 2008 or 9 that they asked them someone about, tell me something about your favorite friend, not best friend, mind you, favorite friend, and how long you have to talk about, how long have you known them, what do you like about them, why is he or she your favorite, and what is that you have learned from them. So you have to talk about these points. Now the trick here is that they will give you, okay, one more thing, they will give you 1 minute to prepare. Now the trend has changed. What they're doing right now is that they are not reading the question out for you. So in that 1 minute's time, they will hand over the paper. In that 1 minute's time of preparation, you have to read the question and you have to prepare. To prepare, they will give you a paper and a pencil. You can jot down your notes. Of course, you cannot write down too much. So I would suggest you make bullets as per the cues given to you on which you have to speak. And you have to speak a minimum of 1 minute to a maximum of 2 minutes time. Here remember that you can refer very well to the paper that you have your notes onto. You can read, try not to really read because you wouldn't have been able to write too much to read from. You just can refer to the points. Do remember that it's not necessary to go on up to the 2 minutes. You can very well end at 1 minute just in case. And yes, there is no clock. You cannot carry your watch inside, there is no clock, there is no mobile phone, so you really cannot look into the watch and understand what's the time right now, or have I been over 1 minute or not. So you will keep on speaking. When your time is over, they will tell you, or just in case you end up speaking less than 1 minute, they will show this, they will ask you, like they'll make a gesture like this, that go on, your 1 minute is not complete. So you can relax. Usually the examiners are helping. Even if they are not, sometimes it may happen that they are busy jotting down, your points or whatever feedback they have to write. Do not get worried. Do not think they're not listening to you. They are pros. They are trained very well at their job. Just stick to what you have been asked to. Stick to answering according to the cues. So that's about the cue card. The next topic or the next part of speaking test is discussion. Okay, so let's get started now with the last part of the speaking on IELTS, and this part is known as discussion. Now, of course, it's not like a group discussion that we must be habitual of sitting and discussing. They will ask us questions and we will have to give them the answer. The difference is that the questions here will be related to the topic given to you on the cue card. Now, let's assume the topic on the cue card was, you should say something about your favorite book and whatever the cues were. So here in the discussion part, the questions can be, what makes a book favorite? How do you think that the reading habits of children can be developed? Do you think that the taste of reading changes when you grow from childhood to adulthood? Do you think reading textbooks really matter a lot? Do you think that reading novels helps a lot? And questions like these. So there will be 4 or 5 questions, and the total speaking test lasts for around 12 minutes, as I've already told. So there will not be much that they would be asking you. Yes, the trick here is, because this part is related to what you have spoken on cue card, it is a big possibility that you would tend to repeat some words from what you have spoken on cue card. Till as long as they are something common, for example, is, am, are, was, we, I, you, do not mind that. But when it comes to something as jargon, for example, exemplary or accentuate, or let's say flabbergasted or something like that, or fictional or whatever, do make sure that you are not really repeating those words. Try to use synonyms if you really have to repeat those words. So the less repetitive you are, the higher is the score that you end up getting. Here also, please make sure that your answers are small. They should not be too long. Also, yes, in case you need some time to think, the pause should not be too much, yet you can think. You can say, can I think for a second? And make sure that you're not really thinking too much, because then they may change the answer, the question. Also, yes, very important thing, it's possible sometimes during the entire, except for the cue card, because that's something which you are reading for yourself, it's possible that during the introduction part or the discussion part, you are not clear with the question. If you're not clear, make sure you are asking them over. Do not really ask what, but you can say, can you please repeat again? I'm sorry, can you please repeat that? Make sure you are not saying that too often, yet please feel free to ask them questions about repeating what they have already said. In case you are asking to repeat more than twice, they would change the question, and I really have no idea whether they cut the marks for that or not, but I really don't have good experience in such cases where the students have asked to change the question or to repeat the question more than once, because they did get less marks as otherwise, and they had to prepare all over again and take IELTS all over again. So that was about the discussion part of speaking. All right. Now, before we end up with this video of speaking on IELTS, let us understand very important thing to improve your score further, and that is to prepare short topics, such as prepare certain adjectives on people. These people can be your best friend, your ideal person in your family, a friend from your family, a family friend that has been there since your childhood, or your favorite leader, your favorite teacher, your favorite colleague, your best boss till now, and so on. So these adjectives you can use over there in talking about people. Make sure, of course, you are not repeating the adjectives that you have used, but then in general you can do that, something like that. Also, similar words you can, or similar jargons you can use in the scope such as that of technology, environment, education, countries, cities, like the country that you like, cities that you like, and food, dress, fashion, books, subject, courses, and there's a big list. We have tried to cover kind of nearly the whole list that I have come across in my teaching career of last 14 years, and we have compiled a list of most repeated questions or related questions, like questions either those or something very similar has been asked, and it's a set of kind of 100 questions, and we are posting those questions, the link to which is given below in the description box, so you can go there and read those questions and prepare yourself well. For any other questions or queries, do ask us on the comments. Thank you.